Beast Quest Sepron Chapter 5. Tom and Eleanor slept on the floor of one of the cottages with some of the villagers. Tom chose a spot near the door so he and Eleanor could sneak out without disturbing anyone. He woke to feel Eleanor shaking him on the shoulder. "Come on," she whispered. "It's time." Faint grey light was leaking through the shuttered window into the cottage. Tom rose to his feet, careful not to make a noise, and edged open the door. He and Eleanor crept outside. The sky was growing pale above the trees. Tom could make out the dark shape of Storm grazing further up the hill. Silver came bounding out of the trees and snuffled at Eleanor's hand. "Shh, boy," she murmured. Tom saw that the floodwater had almost disappeared during the night. More of the cottages had appeared. The boat was where they had left it, but now it lay at the top of a long slope covered with debris. "Oh no!" Eleanor's eyes were wide with shock. "How will we get the boat down to the water?" The boat was small, but it was strongly built. Straining together, Tom and Eleanor could barely lift it. "This is no good," Tom panted, setting it down again. "If we could find some rope, we could tie it to Storm and let him drag it." "No," Eleanor protested. "Look how rocky the slope is. We would risk smashing another hole in it." Tom gazed down at the boat. They were so close, but without a boat they would never be able to reach Sepron. "One more try," he said to Eleanor. "We've got to shift it." They both stooped down and gripped the upturned boat at the bow and stern, and then a shout came from the cottage that they had just left. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Tom let go of the boat and straightened up. Callum was coming out of the cottage. He strode toward Tom and Eleanor. Tom ran to meet him. "Callum, don't wake everyone, please. We can explain." Callum's face was dark with anger. "I thought you wanted to help us. Now it looks like you're trying to steal our boat." "We only want to borrow it," Eleanor pleaded. "My father said no." Tom hesitated. To his relief, none of the other villagers had been disturbed by Callum's shout. If only he could persuade Callum, but he knew that he should not tell anyone about his beast quest. That would only spread panic. "I need the boat for something really important," he said. Callum was giving him a thoughtful look now. It was the way he had looked at Tom's shield after it had turned aside the flames, and then he glanced out to sea. "I think I can guess," he said. I thought there was something strange when I saw what you did with your shield." He paused, and then he said, "You remind me of someone." "Who?" Tom asked. "A man who rode through here, more than a year ago now. He looked just like you." Tom's heart began to thump painfully. Could it have been his father? "What was his name?" he asked, gripping the boy's shoulders. Callum shook his head. "He didn't say. He just told us he was on a quest." He paused and then said, "I think he might be on a quest too." Tom was sure that the stranger must have been his father, Taladon. He ached to know more about him. He wanted to ask about every detail of his stay in the village, but there was no time. The sky was growing brighter. Soon the villagers would be up and about, and he couldn't tell Callum his secret, even though he had almost guessed it for himself. He held the boy's gaze steadily. Eleanor didn't say a word, though Silver whined softly. After a moment, Callum gave a brisk nod. "All right, I'll help you move the boat." And the three of them managed to lift the boat and carry it down the hill. With the floodwater almost gone, they waded across a pebbly beach until the sea was deep enough to launch the boat. Tom and Eleanor scrambled on board. Silver yelped eagerly and tried to follow. "No, boy," Eleanor said, ruffling the thick fur around his neck. "You can't come this time." "I'll look after him," said Callum. "And your horse." He rested his hand on Silver's head. The wolf looked up at him and let out a mournful whine. "We'll be back soon," said Tom. Eleanor gave Silver a last pat, and then she unlashed the oars and gave one to Tom. They began rowing out to sea. Back on the beach, Callum stood knee-deep in water with Silver at his side. He raised a hand. "Good luck," he called. "Thanks," Tom muttered, looking at Eleanor. "We're going to need it."